So, this is home. A little spare, don't you think?
Thought I'd have frilly curtains.
Well, now that you mention it. I'm just saying maybe you should consider conserving ammo and installing seats with upholstery. Think about it.
Couldn't hurt to make this bucket a little more livable.
Oh, I can recommend some folks who keep a good selection of before-market parts so as not to strain your budget. We can't all be fabulously wealthy criminal masterminds, but this bounty hunting gig seems straightforward enough. Besides, I like the idea of doing the chasing for a change, even if I am slumming it. I've been thinking it over, and I see a lot of room for improvement maximizing your profits. Take catching me, for example. Sure, you got a nice bounty from the Great Hunt, but why stop there? You just need to use a little imagination.
This have something to do with your duplicate?
Nothing slips past you, now does it? A few words in the right ears and you could make a lot of money on poor Tiresias's remains, if you don't mind double-crossing crime lords. Offer the body, see who bites, rob them blind. Couldn't be simpler.
Drum up some interest. If the payoff is worth the risk, I'm in.
See, that's the best part about this little partnership. The scams are a lot less risky when you know you can vaporize anyone in the room. So, that suggestion I had involving my duplicate? Turns out there are a lot of folks out there who've still got a bone to pick with the late Tiresias Loci. A little friendly competition couldn't hurt our final take. I'm thinking an auction would do the trick.
I'm open to anything that'll boost our profits.
That's just what I wanted to hear. Give me some time off the ship, and I can handle the whole thing by proxy. The only finger you'll have to lift will be the one accepting your credit transfer.
Take as long as you need.
I'll be back before you know it. What, no parade? Oh, not even a cake? How about at least mustering a good to see you for the guy holding your share of the credits?
Sorry to disappoint. Take a drink instead?
Well, just this once. You're cut. Pretty good take, considering the expenses. The bidders really couldn't wait to take Tiresias off our hands.
I didn't expect much to come of this.
I know you didn't, which, if you'll recall, was my point from the start. You might say I've got some experience duping these suckers. 3 pirate crews, 10 free traders, 2 exchange bosses, half a dozen huts, 1 I don't even remember crossing. Kept licking his lips. I think his name was Druga. It was quite the rogues gallery. A lot of familiar faces. Brought back memories, let me tell you. Have I mentioned how much pulling that little con has improved my mood? I think that auction put to bed any lingering doubts that Tiresias is dead and gone. And aside from knowing my new identity on a stick, I'd almost forgotten how much I love a good scheme.
Fun and profit. What's not to like?
Getting shot at, for one, but working with you has made that pretty commonplace. It's hard to work a proper hustle when you're on the run, chum. I've pulled more heists than cons in recent memory. That was the kind of racket my former partner preferred. Simple, bold, effective. Used to argue about that a lot.
You had other preferences.
Armed robbery is one of the few things I enjoy in moderation. My preference is to be long gone by the time anyone gets wise. That's a lot easier without bounty hunters breathing down my neck. It's about time I got back in the game. Can't afford to let myself get out of practice, after all. Let me tell you a little thing about opportunity.
Enlighten me.
Sometimes, when it knocks, you put it away for a rainy day. Take this group of fresh-off-the-shuttle Arcona I met at the Mossila spaceport before you showed up. I left those Arcona with a stellar impression of Geller rowing, helpful merchant, and earmarked them for a return trip once things died down.
What makes them good marks?
You know why they were traveling to a dump like Tatooine? Seems fresh water's hard to come by on Kona. These rubes heard about moisture farming on Tatooine and figured it was their ticket to riches. Fleecing these yokels will be like taking candy from a baby. The key is finding the right scheme.
You really enjoy seeing what you can get away with, don't you?
Surely a Mandalorian can appreciate testing one's limits. Moisture farmers aren't exactly rolling in credits, but a whole colony of them can add up. Remember those Arcona colonists I was telling you about? Well, I've got the perfect racket to skim a little profit off those moisture farming saps. Salt.
You can stop there.
Hey, now, hear me out. I used to know this spacey Arconan bagman back on Nar Shaddaa. Thought the guy was a spice head for the longest time. Turns out I was only half right. This guy's cravings were something else.
Now who are you trying to con?
If you'd been there, you wouldn't be giving me that look. One night, after making our handoff in some dive diner, he orders some garbage soup and dumps an entire shaker of salt into the bowl. Should have seen the way this guy went at the stuff before stumbling out of the place like its last call.
Your money's on these colonists having the same craving.
10 to 1 says there's something about salt that those wedgeheads can't resist. We're gonna sell those colonists the answer to all their woes, specially formulated and offered exclusively through Rowing Industries. If I'm right about how much Arcona love the stuff, our biggest problem will be keeping up the supply. Meet our new product. Had our salt shipment bottled as special tablets to help organics retain water. Now we just need to seal the deal. I want you with me when our prospective buyer calls. Keep him from getting too comfortable. We'll be meeting an Arcona named Gruna to convince him to act as our supplier to the colony.
I thought you were going to be the supplier.
Unless you want to start making regular trips to the middle of nowhere, we need a middleman. This chump would do anything for enough credits to get off Tatooine. I don't think it'll take much to get poor Gruna to bite. Gruna, good to hear from you. Looking well. Lose some weight?
Kagriso Efretu Paranai.
Oh, her? Don't worry about her. Had to let my last security detail go in favor of this fine lady. Say hello, my dear.
We look forward to doing business with you, Gruna.
See? A perfect lady. You know, Gruna, I'm a bit of a philanthropist. Did I mention that?
Grojaman.
My visit to Tatooine left me inspired by the plight of rugged folks like yourself trying to squeeze life out of that dust bowl. Making life easier for the little guy, that's my motto. And helping you hardworking souls is now my personal mission.
He'll put himself in the poorhouse if that's what it takes.
My associate worries too much. My friend Gruna and his pals wouldn't leave me holding the bag. There'll be plenty of prosperity to go round. The top chemists at Rowing Industries developed this little wonder for us. A compound designed to maximize water retention in organic life forms. The benefit to hardworking subsistence farmers such as yourself is immeasurable.
Pandravimos pandimas protes cada viteradag. Smarcio populas mana ir padre mana narcali.
That's a better plan for your savings than investing in this garbage. This is lower than I'm willing to sink, Gault.
Mano aliate bavo mano?
I must be having some kind of flashback. Can't find decent help these days. Just let me handle my associate and we'll finish our business. Snap out of it, buddy. It's Geller. Geller Rowing, your boss. Don't mess this up.
We're better than this.
And I thought you might be too ruthless for this business. I can't even begin to express my disappointment.
Aikaios naba, jotinai rodo kad ikenas?
Looks like I'm sending you the whole shipment, free of charge. Choke on it. Just so we're clear, me talking to you doesn't mean I'm not still irked about that last job.
I know it was your deal, but I couldn't go through with that. Maybe next time.
I'm surprised you're open to it next time after that little show. I think it's fair to say you owe me another go, and not just anything. I'm talking about a big score. I'm sure I can think of something that won't upset your precious sensibilities. Notice anything different?
You should lay off the junk food.
And they said the stuff was slimming. Just acquired some nice form-fitting blast armor. Thought I'd see if it would stand up to a trained eye. Apparently so, if your observation is any indication.
Be happy to see if it stands up to my blaster.
I can always count on you to keep my welfare in mind. Since I'm still putting myself in harm's way, I decided to make a little investment in my well-being. Been stocking up on interesting tidbits at every port we've hit. From here on, I'm ready for anything. So, what do you know about Hilo Viz?
I've heard the name. She was some big-time spacer, wasn't she?
You could put it that way if you're partial to understatement. She broke the Mandalorian blockade at the Hydian Way. You know, the one that strangled Coruscant and dashed a full-scale Jedi assault. And it wasn't out of the goodness of her heart, either. Credits were involved. A lot of them.
I like her already.
Oh, she was quite the lady. You could say that run was the height of her career, but that's only because she dropped off the scanners not long after. Most think the Hutts were behind Hylo's disappearance, but anyone who knew her could tell you they'd have better odds winning a marathon. No, she's still out there. Somewhere.
Never took you for the type to get starstruck.
What? No, we've got history. Hylo was my old partner. More than that. That blockade run was the last thing we ever did together. Like I said, a lot of credits were involved. When I saw the opportunity, I took off and left Hylo holding the bag. Stupid.
Is that a conscience showing?
I don't know, maybe it was a dumb move I regret making. Listen, I found out that an old associate from that blockade run is still around and kicking. A mutual acquaintance. I owe Hylo one last visit. If he knows where she's been laying low all this time, I've got to track him down. You're not gonna believe this. I heard from Hylo. She's willing to take me back if I'm willing to show she means more to me than me. Sent the message certified, credits on delivery. Whew, almost cleaned me out just to have it delivered.
I hope you get her back. She's my kind of lady.
One of a kind. Too bad it took me this long to figure it out. I feel like I'm back in my prime. Not that I'd slipped, I'm just unburdened. I owe you for that, so I thought I'd say it. Don't go making a big deal out of it.
Glad I could help, really.
Gotta hand it to you, you really surprised me. You're not what I would call a conventional partner in crime. But we're really turning out to make quite the team.
Letting you live was one of my better decisions.
I do think it's because we got all of that pesky trying to kill each other out of the way early. You and me, we're going to carve out a criminal empire, or at least accumulate one heck of a fortune. Your children's children won't know what to do with it. I'm telling you, wild space is the limit.